Welcome to the Passion Behind the Art show. It's all about diving in with individuals to learn the story behind their passion. It's your host, Daryl Pinnock. So the episode 50 live stream has come and gone, and it was amazing. I just want to thank you to all my special guests. We were streaming live on Facebook in the Facebook group for Passion Behind the Art from 12 noon to 9:30 at night. We had such a good time, laughs, live musical performances, just a good time. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. I want to give a shout out to Inch by Inch, Bob Ewing, Drew Hill. We were able to give away something from Inch by Inch. I want to give a shout out to Kyle Courtwright from Logo Wave. We gave out something from Logo Wave. I want to give a shout out to Lisa Quine. We were able to give out something from her shop, and Scotty Russell, who from Perspective Collective, we were able to give away something from his shop also. Just thank you to everyone who just came and participated and laughed with us and just enjoyed a great time. We were able to share some practical and clear and actionable advice and knowledge. The focus of the live stream was building relationships and some step-by-step practical things you can start doing the minute you leave the live stream. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks again. Episode 50. It's just the beginning. Oh my gosh, it's just the beginning. All right, Matt is here, so let's get him on. Mr. Ozzy Oz.
Yeah, mate. No, it's the 14th today, and it actually coincides with my 10-year wedding anniversary.
Really?
Yeah, so 10 years married to this date. So, yeah, it's a big day.
Oh, that's cool, man. I just celebrated my 10 years last year.
Oh, nice one. Well, there you go. I've just joined the club.
Nice.
We need to high five each other on that one. Yes.
Oh gosh. All right. So, dude, so we're gonna get to the topic. All right, we're gonna get to the topic. So I told you part of it was practical steps that people can take, because you've been in business on your own for about 9 years, or is it 9 or 10 years?
Yeah, it's getting close to 10 years. I think next year's 10 years. 9 years.
All right, so you got tons of insight to share. But the main thing, the first part of it was relationships and how much that's impact you. I want you to kind of share someone that's coming from a different aspect, different country. That if you guys haven't noticed his accent, he's an Aussie.
Yeah, and you're getting an extreme close-up of me at the moment, so I can hear you. But don't look up my nose. I'll have to put it like that. Relationships.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope I haven't made this very unprofessional. Relationships.
Nah, dude, you're good. Look,
coming from Australia, I think, I may have even talked about this with you in my podcast with you a little while back. But yeah, most of my clients come from overseas, and that can be challenging. But with ways, you can always bridge that gap through Skyping and stuff like that. So, I just spoke to a client from the States yesterday, and we'd been talking via email for, a good couple of weeks, and they kind of wanted to start the project, just straight away. But I really wanted to get that FaceTime. It's almost like shaking someone's hand, just that sort of, meeting them, greeting them, getting to see them and chat. They can experience a bit of your personality, and likewise I get to experience a bit of them, and it just validates any sort of relationship that, going forward, so they know that you're an approachable person. Nothing gets lost in translation with emails, which can happen so easily. You can read the context of an email so many different ways if you put a little positive spin or a negative spin on it. So I think just by having that FaceTime with someone and getting to know them, you sort of start the relationship off on the right foot going forward. So for me, that's really important. And because most of my clients are overseas, it's not just America. Sure, there can be language barriers sometimes, but, you know, I'm surprised how well everyone, even the people that think they can't speak English very well, they have a pretty, you know, we get by. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. So, and to be honest, because of relationships, that's how we know each other, right? And those are the things that kind of birth out of that, not just even just business, but through just peers and through just
Yeah.
people. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Definitely. You know, I spoke to you as well about, like, you know, just being a part of, I've got a little Slack community where, you know, you've interviewed half of them, and, you know, I log in and I read, you know, their successes and their problems and all of that. And we bounce, you know, ideas off of each other. And it's fantastic, you know, because it just, I mean, I work in a web developer's office like you just saw there, but, you know, these people that are in our community, these other letterers and designers, they share the same sort of, you know, issues that we go through, and you know, and good things, successes and stuff like that. So it's always nice to have that, you know, like-minded sort of feedback from, you know, industry peers. So, you know, that's fantastic. So I suggest that if you are a designer out there, reach out to you know, someone, and don't be afraid to actually sort of get in touch. I mean, I end up meeting up, having coffees with people that have been following my work, that just want to chew my ear off and, you know, talk shop and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm always willing to do stuff like that to, you know, because it is good to, you know, form those relationships.
That is true, man. That is true. And the reason why that's a big part of, I mean, that's one of the topics, is because that's a big part of the podcast that I started. So relationships, that's been a big part. So the next thing I want you to kind of give some practical things that people can do that may want to start their business. It may not be in design, but they may want to start their business. They may want to go out and do their own thing. You've been doing your own thing for 9 years. Kind of give some practical things that people can just leave from this and do.
Yeah, okay, sure. It can be totally daunting, and going out on your own, like, you know, anyone that's even thought about it, I mean, it's intimidating, like, because you don't know when you're only as good as your last project, and you don't know when your next project's going to drop. And, you know, am I going to get a string of projects that are going to, you know, take that pressure off? You know, are there going to be dry spells? And there will be dry spells. I think being prepared for all that sort of stuff helps. So I kind of got forced into being self-employed. I've never looked back, but I did have a savings to sort of ride out any sort of storms, any sort of quiet storms. And that happens. That does happen. So if you can be prepared in that sense, and some people do it by having a second job and then they wait until the time's right, and that's a fantastic way if you don't have that capital, you know, backing to sort of ride out any sort of quiet storms. Sort of double up, right, until you do get that steady flow of clients, or save up just to have enough just to ride out, you know, what could possibly be a quiet time. So, like, it's tricky and it's daunting, but like I said, I've never looked back, and I don't know. I don't even think I'm hireable anymore. I've been self-employed for so long. You know, it's so nice to be able to make your own hours, go for a surf when you want, go and watch your kids at a swimming carnival when you want, you know, pick them up from school, sort of, you know, do your own thing. I'd find it very hard to sort of get back into a 9 to 5, 9 to 6 sort of office mentality.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I think you have a point, especially with the saving up, building a runway, some kind of financial backing, just to kind of, I think that's a a great thing that people can work towards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Look, you've got to prepare yourself for it because, you know, you either prepare yourself by having that, by working your butt off, doing 2 jobs, or by saving some money to be able to then work your butt off and then slowly build up your clientele. And then, you know, so I don't know. That's the only way I can really think about doing it. They're my 2 options.
I mean, I believe in that. Anyone that either asks me about that or anything, I always tell them to save up, have something to fall back on, you know, instead of some kind of runway. Don't just go cold turkey.
Definitely. And there are so many ways these days of making passive income too. So if you can somehow, depending on what you want to do, but if you can sort of start a revenue source.
For the most part, I think everybody understood what you were saying, especially with the building a runway. I think a lot of people see this whole idea of going out and do your own thing, and they, at one point, the idea was like, just do it. Just go out there and do it. And I think you want to be wise about it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, it depends on your life situation as well. Like, you know, for me, I had my second daughter on the way. So there was a lot on the line. You know, if you've got a family, obviously that puts more pressure. You know, if you've got a dual income, you've got a partner that's, you know, can sort of support you through those times, then that's going to help. You just have to have a plan, because you've got to appreciate that, you know, you go through busy periods and you go through quiet periods. It happens all the time. I mean, in 9 years, like, you'd think that, you know, you can sort of get it to a stage where it's just always busy, but no. Like, I think it was a year and a half ago, I had one of the biggest quiet periods I've ever had, and it undid an amazing year before that. So yeah, but look, I wouldn't change it for the world. And there are ways that I could probably avoid, you know, take a bit of that pressure off, in means of generating that passive income. If you can start to set things up like that, then obviously that takes that pressure off. So I think that's going to be my plan this year, to sort of start looking at that as an option for when they come along, those quiet periods.
But Matt, dude, of course, you know, we'll keep in touch, but I just want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you, man.
Mate, I appreciate it. I enjoyed the podcast that we had. I enjoyed chatting now. Yeah.
All right, man. Stay tuned. I got F dot coming up next, so if you want to check it out, be my guest. If not, it's all good.
All right. Say good day to F dot for me.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks, Daryl.
Take care. All right.
Bye.
All right, that's Matt Vergotis. Like, this dude will have you laughing the whole time. Dude.
What's up, dude? You got me.
Oh, what's up, man?
Good to see you. How's it going?
It's been good, man. It's a long day, but it's been good.
Yeah. I'm just making a little post right now about this live stream.
Okay, cool.
Glad we got it working.
Yeah, it's been one of those days where we're kind of learning as we go, and so it's all good. I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah, I imagine there was a lot of logistic stuff going on.
Yeah, it's been interesting, but it's been fun though.
I caught some of Matt's live stream. It was good. Nice job.
Okay.
Even though he was talking about how there were a bunch of issues earlier on, it seemed like you guys had a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know, Matt. It's always good talking to Matt. He'll get you laughing.
Also, I dig your dance moves that you were doing in the break there.
Oh, you funny, man. Well, so the overarching theme of what we've been talking about so far is the importance of relationships, and, you know, some, as I told you before, some practical things that people can leave this live stream with, that they could go start doing to build whatever it is that they're trying to build. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So you could start tackling the relationships, because I know, you know what I mean, you can speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you basically want to know like how to establish relationships with people that will serve you, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and the benefits of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I can speak from some experience here. I have I recently moved out of the United States, and I had some coworkers that I moved here with. I'm in Argentina now, and I don't really want to hang out with my coworkers all the time. So I was kind of in this situation where I needed to make new friendships and new relationships. And for the first few weeks, I was pretty shy. I didn't really want to go out. I don't speak the language fluently either. So I had to really go outside my bubble to make friendships here. So one of the first places I turned, of course, was Instagram, and good old Instagram.
Right.
And I realized that I actually had a few friends here who I was following them. They were following me for a while in Argentina. So I reached out to them, and I try not to say like, "Hey, uh, can you meet up and show me around?" Because that just feels like I'm asking them a lot, right? Like if you're reaching out to somebody for the first time, I think that's like one good practical tip is like try not to just ask something from somebody. And if you
Right.
have anything to offer, if you can think of something to offer, even if it's just like a compliment, like, "Hey, I really love your work." Like that's a great way to start. You know, um, People are a little more likely to get back to you if you give them something in return first. And I don't like my relationships to be so transactional. I don't like it to be so like I give you something, you give me something, because that's not really so personal. It feels very, very commercial. Like if you're just exchanging things one for one, like no one's keeping count, no one's keeping score.
Right.
But I do think that it's smart if you want to get more friends or more relationships for your business to offer something in advance. So that's like one big tip that's really served me well. It helps if you're in a position of power to like help people, whether that's financial or like influence or like for me, at my job we work with local artists sometimes. So whenever I want to meet up with an artist down here, I say, "Hey, like this is what I do, and we hire artists from time to time. Would you want to meet up for coffee and hang out?" So I'm kind of like using my position to my favor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And it's funny you say that, because I just don't think that people really see the importance of building relationships, and going about it with giving first in mind. I don't think that we really do that. A lot of times it's just kind of like ask, and
Yeah.
not thinking to give first in mind. Like, why would you say, like, how did that even come to you to say, okay, let me give first in mind?
I think it's just been ingrained in me. There's been a lot of people who have taught me about that over the years, like my parents, my friends. Like it's a business principle that I've heard over and over again, and I think it applies to your personal life as well. So that's how I thought of it. I guess that's not very original, but it uh
Right. It's
it
all good, man.
it really helps. Like if you're trying to get attention, you got to give first. Otherwise, you're expecting people to be super nice with their time. People are busy. People have priorities, and like if you want to be surrounded by people who are worthy of your time, and so you can be worthy of their time, you gotta make yourself worthy of their time. So, I mean, that sounds so serious, but sometimes you just have a spontaneous connection, right? Like you're waiting in line at a restaurant, you're like, "Oh wait, I'm a graphic designer. You're a graphic designer. Let's be friends." But like, rarely
Right.
does that happen. So I feel like if you can't if you can't really rely on those spontaneous connections, like a good way to make those relationships is by offering something in advance, like targeting the people that you want to be surrounded by, and then offering something in advance, like, "Hey, I'm organizing this event next week. Like it's a drink and draw. You want to come? Like I think you'd be into it." Um, and it takes a bit of courage, right? It takes some courage to put yourself out there like that. and it doesn't come easily to everybody. A lot of people are really introverted. I don't have that problem as much. Sometimes I feel really introverted and I just want to stay in my bed all day. But like, but yeah, usually I get a lot of energy from being out and about and talking to people.
I mean, it's funny you said that because, you know, I know what I've experienced is just like the sense of like me putting myself out there and then the person doesn't like me. You know what I mean? That sense of, okay, rejection or whatever the case may be. It's just like you play this mind game sometimes and you like, oh, what if they don't like me? What if it doesn't work out? Whatever. But at the end of the day, it's okay if it doesn't work out. You just gotta just move
Yeah,
on.
yeah. You can't possibly know the reason why, like the real reason why they rejected you, unless there's some really specific situation. A lot of times
Right.
people are just busy. Like you can't always assume that someone didn't respond to you or someone said no because they don't like you. Like they don't know you, so they can't
Right.
dislike you if they don't know you. Yeah, a lot of it is just learning to get better with rejection, and I think some people struggle with that. Like I definitely struggle with that sometimes, but I'm pretty good about just asking for what I want, and if I don't get it, I just keep persisting because I know that if I keep persisting, like logically, you're getting closer to what you want versus um, versus if you just give up, then okay, how's that going to help you? You know, if you could sit there and be like, well, they don't like me, so I better give up. Well, no,
Right.
like let me keep trying. Let me keep like it wasn't a good fit or whatever. Or maybe if it's meant to be, like sometimes I'll like visit a place and I'll be like, I want to meet some artists in this city. And so I reach out to 10 different people and one person gets back to me. And this happened to me like a couple of years ago. I really wanted to paint a mural in this city. And one person got back to me and they said that like they were really excited and then eventually they bailed. They actually bailed on me. It didn't work out. So I
Nice.
was like, all right, well, my plan is ruined. I can't paint a mural here. That sucks. I still had fun on that trip. I didn't get to do all the stuff I wanted to do, but then the next time I was going back, I had one person that was like a maybe that I could follow back up with. And then I reached out to a few more people. And then the second time around, it ended up working out. Like I met up with the person and we collaborated on a project and it was really fun. So just because it doesn't work the first time doesn't mean it's not like meant to be in the future. You just don't really know.
True. True. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just that whole idea of adjusting. Like something doesn't work out, you just adjust to it, but just keep going.
exactly.
So, what are some practical things you think someone could start doing? I know you gave me two so far, right? So, given first, some practical things that people can do to either start their own thing, or have their own thing on the side and still be like you, adventurous employee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a little hard to give like specific practical tips if you don't know like what place people are in the journey because like step one is like get good. Like you have to get good at what you do, and that just requires like a lot of hours of practice. And
Right.
you don't have to worry about getting clients or all that stuff until you feel like your skills are at the point. If it's a service industry or like if it's a product, you have to get your product or your service to the point where it's ready. And I guess that's one thing we could talk about is like knowing when things are ready or what, a lot of people struggle with perfectionism. So maybe you're at the point where you're trying to build something up on the side, but you don't know if it's good enough to really start reaching out to people and showing it off. And I think there's a lot of people in that situation. I was in that situation. Sometimes I feel like I'm still in that situation. I'm like, man, I haven't shared anything for like 2 weeks. Like, what have I made? I look back and I get sad. I'm like, damn, I need to get something out so that I don't keep stagnating, right? So I think if you're in that place where you're like, I don't know if what I'm doing is good enough to really get started building a business off of it. Um, I would just like share it with your peers. That's like one thing you can do is like get feedback from your peers, see what they say to improve it. And if your friends are like, this is good to go, then yeah, put together like a little website, start obviously sharing it online on your social media channels, and start getting it out in front of people, because people aren't gonna hire you or work with you unless they know about it. So that would be like
That's
sort
true.
of beginning steps. 101.
Right.
What do you think? Like, any other questions? Because it seems like kind of a general question to answer.
Yeah. Well, because what it's one thing for someone to see like these videos or even watch this or even see you and they get inspired. But what I was really trying to get at is not just only being inspired, but having something tangible to say, okay, let me go do this. So for one, you said, okay, if you want to build your relationship, start by giving something to someone. Two,
Yeah.
you said make sure that you're good at what you're doing. So that means practice more. So like that's something that someone could say, okay, let me take that and I'll go do that now. You get what I'm saying? So that's the whole premise of where I was coming from.
Okay, I got you.
Which you did answer
Yeah,
some. You know what I
in
mean?
kind of a roundabout way.
Right.
um, so I mean, if you're like ready to go, and you're
Hmm.
at that point where you just need to like practice, or you need to share. I always come back to this mantra of like making and sharing, making and sharing, making and sharing. If you're like hung up, like, oh, what I shared yesterday like didn't get a good response, it's like, okay, make something else, share something else,
Right.
like make and share. I think that that's so crucial. Like, and if you feel like you're at a point where you've been making stuff and you've been sharing stuff and it's not resonating, just change something, like adjust something small about what you're doing. You don't have to go a complete 180. Like, maybe you're making lettering pieces, but they're kind of, you feel like maybe there's something more you could do with it that would make it a little bit more interesting or more unique. Like, why would someone hire you for this? So maybe try like making it animated, or
Right.
learning a new skill in that way. So um yeah, one of the things I think about a lot is just like how there's just so much sameness everywhere. Like, everyone is doing such similar work. Like, even if you look at like the popular logos that people share, it's like everything looks so similar, and it kind of makes me sick. And like, I want people to try new styles and new things, and get yourself into situations where you're trying like new things that you haven't done before. And that could
That's cool. I
be
mean,
just like taking a Skillshare class, or if you have the discipline to do it on your own, like set your own constraints. Say, I'm going to go buy these new materials and try this project, or download this new software and just learn how to use it.
I like that. I mean, and it's funny, like you're one of those people that when you say something like you're doing the same thing for the most part, like when your work, I know it when I see it because you're always experimenting. Like you're not the usual letterer. Like even when you do lettering, it's different from everybody else.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I can
I've been
attest to that.
I've been getting a little bored with lettering lately.
Right. I noticed that you've been doing like some illustrations and some doodling here and there, especially the skateboard dude. I think you've kind of evolved, like you've done so many different types of that skateboard dude. So I mean, I think that's cool.
Thanks, man. Um,
Mm,
because I think
right.
a lot of the reason why I've been able to uh, keep experimenting and like change up my work so much while still making it feel sort of cohesive is that I try to collaborate with a lot of different types of artists,
Mm,
whether it's like other lettering artists from various places around the world, or like that could be a digital collaboration where I just send them something. Hey, like, what if you added your flair to this, and I added my flair to your thing, and then we have like this new thing, like 1 + 1 = 3 idea.
right.
Um, so that would be one big tip, is like reach out to somebody you admire. I mean, obviously, maybe not someone who's light years ahead of you in the career
Right.
stage. Reach out to someone you admire their work and ask if they're down to collaborate on something.
I like that. I think
Yeah,
I like that. I think collaboration could jumpstart. I mean, technically, in some way, shape, or form, like the podcast episodes that I do are collaborations in some way, shape,
definitely.
or form. Yeah. So I mean, I believe in collaborations. I think it's a good advice to give someone to kind of just get with someone and create something. I like
Yeah.
that. Well, dude, I'm gonna let you go. I mean, it's not like super long. But if you have something else to share, I don't want to cut you, but definitely, if you have something to share, go ahead. But if not, I'll let you go.
Well, as soon as you reached out to me and asked me to come on and like share advice and stuff, the first thing I thought was like advice is cheap. Like
Right.
words are cheap, talk is cheap. So it's all about what you do with the advice. So I find myself sometimes consuming blog posts, podcasts, videos, like too much. Like I think it's good to get you going if you feel like you need some creative energy, or you listen to something while you're drawing or working or whatever. But don't get stuck in the rut of just consuming and waiting for that advice to like make you successful, because the advice isn't going to make you successful. It's all about the practice and the execution of it. Yeah.
I think I like that. So for the famous Nike, just do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly what I'm going to say.
Thanks for coming in from Argentina, dude. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
At least I got two people from out the country, which was awesome.
That is cool. Yeah.
Well,
nice job,
Eric,
dude.
I'm gonna let you. All right, man.
All right, dude. Have fun. Peace.
All right. Peace. Well, that's Eric F. Eric Friedensohn, cool dude. Really always good talking with him. I want to say thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me at DPCREATES on Instagram or Twitter. And please leave me a review on iTunes, because that helps the podcast to grow. Thanks again. Be blessed.